So we're here at the Invisible Wind Factory, backstage for 303. I'm with Nick Warren, one of the legends of the dance music scene, one of the icons. Obviously, you've played a lot in Liverpool over the years. You know, you were resident at Cream, you've played for Freeze, you've played things, but this is the first time you played for 303, is that right?
Yeah, it is. Liverpool's always been special for me, to be honest. It was really the first place outside of Bristol I ever played. There was a collective of sort of artists and musicians and stuff I used to come and play for at Nation before playing for Cream, Mark McNulty and Jane Casey and all those people were involved. So it was a special place for me, and it always has been. Obviously, I was resident at Cream and played Cream a lot, and it was part of the reason that I'm as successful as I am. You know, so I do owe this city a lot. But it's great to be here for 303. You know, first time for them.
What do you think of the venue as well? Because this is part of, like, there's a sort of new school of venues and stuff in Liverpool that have set up on the Docklands area, and this is probably the most like recognisable one. But it's a lovely space, isn't it? What do you think?
Oh yeah, amazing. As they say in Bristol, it's a proper underground, isn't it? You know, it's an underground warehouse vibe. It looks amazing in there, and it's a stronger lineup. There's Charlie Mays on at the moment, and then Guy and Henry as well tonight. So yeah, I think it's going to be extremely good.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the lineup. This is once upon a time, there probably would, there'd be a word that begins with P would be used to describe this sort of sound. But I think prog. We had to say prog. Is it all right? But there's kind of there's a lot of different DJs that are playing tonight that represent that sort of like real like deep melodic side of dance music. And there's yourself, who's been like a champion of that for 25, 30 years. Charlie, who was obviously big in the 90s and still pushing stuff, but then you've got Henry and Guy, who are part of the new school. I mean, how big do you think that sound is, not just in the UK but across the globe still?
Well, across the globe, especially if you say look at South America, it's huge, and it always has been. That whole melodic underground, mainly instrumental late night dance music in nightclubs has always been successful, and from way back in the Cream days through to when Sasha and John went over to New York and did a Twilo, right the way through, and Hernan was doing the same thing in Argentina, and it's always been really, really popular, and it still is. And I think all music goes through phases. I think it got to a stage about sort of 6 or 7 years ago where it got fairly dull. And even I'd admit that it wasn't very inspiring music. But then I think now if you go and listen to DJs like Solomon or Tale of Us, and they're all playing prog. I went to see Sven at Cocoon in Ibiza a few years ago, and I was in the booth with him, and he was playing some music, and I tapped him on the shoulder. I said, "Oh, when did you stop playing the progs?" And he said, "I don't play prog. I don't play." And that was really bad, a German accent, by the way. But then he was playing prog, and I think that now the boundaries are very blurred. Techno, deep house, progressive, it's all merging together, which is what it should be. Yeah. In the old days, as I'm sure that you remembered, there would be records that everybody would play. Carl would play it, I'd play it, Sven would play it, Sasha would play it. These days, it's a lot more pigeonholed now, and so in the past few years, it was either that style or that style. Whereas now, I think it's starting to blend more. People are playing different types of dance music in the same set, and I think that's a really positive thing.
On the topic of genres, one of the things that I've noticed about it has been really interesting these past few years is your Soundgarden project, and this idea that you can take, rather than just one single sound, and have like this fusion of genres, and start off the podcast and you've done parties. So for someone who's unaware of what Soundgarden is, how would you describe that?
Soundgarden is an idea that just embraces everything from ambient through to techno, with the bass being about melody. So I don't care about tempos really. At the start of our parties, we might be playing at like a 90 BPM, almost like a Massive Attack style set, right the way through up to the main peak time of the set where we're playing our normal stuff. But it's just embracing different styles of music, and especially these days, it's very tribal, the idea of DJs. You will find one group of DJs that play one set, and they all work together, and they all cross-pollinate, and they all share each other's music. And that might be, especially at the moment, there's that whole shamanic house thing. It's very ethnic, almost like a Moroccan style music, and we're taking bits and pieces of everything and merging them into one party, and it seems to be proving very popular.
Have you got any plans to do any parties in the UK this year with it?
We are looking at a Bristol party.
Okay.
I've not played in Bristol, my hometown, for years and years. In fact, I think I played in Liverpool before I played in Bristol the last time. So we're going to do one there. We're looking at a London outdoor venue to do a daytime party. And then, of course, there's loads in Europe. Me and Hernan are doing a Soundgarden in Germany. There's going to be some in Ibiza. And then, of course, sort of back in South America, we're doing some as well. So, yeah, it's about... the UK is always harder, because normally what we like to do is like an afternoon outdoor into a nighttime party, and that's tricky here.
The weather's shit.
Yes, yeah, because it's unpredictable, I think is the word I use.
But, okay, last question I'm going to ask you about. We're in February now, so spring's looming. Dance music, that means one thing. It's like Miami, WMC.
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously, you've been part of the Winter Music Conference for 20, 25, 30 years, or however long you've been going. Do you still think it's an essential component of the dance music calendar, or do you think it's maybe less relevant than it was?
Miami's improved. I'd say 5 or 6 years ago I would hear you, and it's not easy, Miami, especially sort of the nightlife. I remember Pete Tong turning up to a club and not being let in, and he was DJing that night, and so it was all a bit of a mess. Now it seems to be a lot more organised. Again, loads of daytime parties. I'm doing a Soundgarden and Subbeat party on the boat again, as always. There's a new festival which started last year called Rapture, which is really good, much smaller than Ultra, and very underground. Doing that as well, and then me and Hanan are doing a club as well. So yes, we'll be there, and I think it's great. I think there's less Europeans, and there's certainly less Brits there, but there's a lot more South Americans going up there.
Cool. Do you think South America's probably your favourite place to DJ? I mean, I interview a lot of DJs, and so often people come back, and it's not like a particular sound or tempo or genre where they say this. I'm like Youssef used to always go on about South America. Yeah. Do you think it is the best? Argentina and all these places, the best place in the world?
It's the pinnacle, and I think if you ask every single full-time touring DJ that plays there, where's the best place, they will all say Argentina, because it's just on a whole different scale. The parties are huge, but then also it's the people are great, and they dance completely differently to anywhere else in the world. They all dance like this. There's no all this business. There's none of that. Yeah. It's all heads down, dancing, groups of friends all looking at each other, not staring at the DJ. And it's that old-fashioned way of clubbing, which is fantastic.
Pure acid house, then. Yeah. Okay. Great stuff, Nick. Thanks a lot for your time. Cheers to that. Great stuff, mate.